Thanks for tuning in to You See Me, focusing on the battle of self-love, acceptance, abuse, spirituality, and much more. Your host, Tina Wynn, will be sharing various ways and strategies that she used to overcome grief, addiction, and depression. You See Me is a self-expressed term Tina uses as a way of making people see the real you. For people to see you, you must first see yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Tina Wynn, your host of You See Me, and welcome back to another episode of You See Me. Thank you for coming to see me. I have been seeing y'all have been seeing me. Continue to join me on the We Empower Network, Saturdays at 4, and on all my other social platforms. Today, I would like to talk to you guys about showing up. There is something very, very critical that happens when we show up. Again, we cannot see ourselves unless we see others. And part of seeing others and part of seeing yourself is showing up for yourself and showing up for others. So a lot of times we say that we show up for ourselves and we say that we show up for others, but are we truly present? What does it mean to truly be present for someone? Are you there mentally? Are you there emotionally? Are you there spiritually? Or are you just there physically? And that's what I want to dive into. And I want to dive into that by sharing a story with you guys. So, Quita has a lot of people that she dealt with in the flesh. And then Tina has these people that she dealt with both in the flesh and in the spirit. And one of these people, one of these spirits, was returned unto me some years ago. Me and this person had been on again, off again, and we lost contact. And in the midst of losing contact, this person showed up. They showed up at a time in my life when I was lost, when I didn't know self. They showed up at a time where we needed each other. We just didn't know it. And I was able these last couple of days to show back up. But it wasn't that I was showing up for this person. I was showing up for myself. I was showing up for not being present when the person needed me to be present. So when this show up, Tina was present. Tina was there mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And those are the only type of spirits that I pray to show up in my life. Never when we pray for things to show up, do they show up the way we want them to sometimes, unless we are very specific. Remember, we have to be very specific in our prayers for things to show up. But in the process of wanting things to show up, we have to be present for them to show up. If you're not there mentally and emotionally, how do you even know that anything showed up? So as I'm showing up for this person, and I'm there completely emotionally. The connection is there. Everything is there. That entire moment, I took Tina out of the moment. I took Tina out of the moment and allowed spirit to do what it was going to do. And as the spirit led me and drew me to be there for that person, it unmasked my own show up. It unmasked my own show up because it started unveiling all of these emotions and all of these things and all of these feelings that I never even knew, because there were so many situations that Quita didn't know how to show up for. Quita was emotionally detached. She didn't know how to be there for anyone because she wasn't there for herself. She didn't see herself. She didn't know how to distance what she was going through to embrace what anyone else was going through. Because again, this process only works by seeing yourself. You have to see yourself in order to see others. So in the moment that this person is needing me to show up for them, I have to be able to see them in order to know what it is that I'm showing up for. I had to be able to take Tina and put her aside. Oh, you're grieving. This person didn't have to tell me they're grieving. They didn't have to tell me what they were going through because I was present. I was present for the moment. Some things don't need to be said. And then it made me reflect on the fact that how many people in my life are actually showing up for me? Are the relationships that I'm holding near and dear to my heart present, or are they just being presented? See, because people will present you with a whole lot of stuff. People will present you with a good, when they will present you with a good time, they will present you with any and everything they think that you may need for that moment, except themselves. They never showed up. They're just present. See, when Quita used to be out here showing up, Quita was waiting for everybody to show up for her. And people will come through. People will show up for the gossip. They will show up for the chaos. They will show up for the drama. They will show up for all the negative aspects of what Quita was into. But when Tina needed people to show up, their body was there, but they wasn't there. They was emotionally disconnected. They was spiritually disconnected, physically disconnected. That's not the type of showing up in my life that I need people to do. And this is why I wake up every day filled with a heart of joy. The first thing on my mind is praise and worship, because I show up for God, because he shows up for me. We have to start showing up for ourselves, people. We cannot sit and keep waiting for people to show up for us. So when I say I showed up for someone these past couple of days, but the show up was for me, because in the midst of me helping you get through what your problem was, it helped me discover that I had my own showing up that I needed to do. I had my own things that needed to be prevalent, that needed to be taken care of, that needed to be addressed. So sometimes we think we're going to be there for someone else when God said, no, I put you right here for self. Nobody but you needed to show up in that moment. That show up may have been presented to that other person, so you may be present for them, but the show up was for you. The show up was for you. It was to show your consistency, to show your faith, to show the works that I do in you, so that I could get the glory, so that other people could know that when you show up and you are faithful to your faith and you are putting your trust and your hope and all these things that you are putting forth out of your mouth into me, I will show up back for you, and I will provide you with relief. I will provide you with comfort. I will provide you with some type of comfort to let you know to keep on pressing. Hi guys, it's Tina Wynn, your host of the podcast You See Me. I just want you guys to be encouraged. If you haven't already gone out and purchased your copy of The Audacity to Be Empowered, it is an anthology including myself and 25 other phenomenal women. My chapter is titled, Unlearning Yourself to Love Yourself. Sometimes in life, we get so distracted by all the names and things that people call us that we forget who we are and we don't know how to see ourselves. The purpose of the You See Me show is to teach you guys how to see yourself, how to love yourself, and how to embrace yourself and apply the things that makes you happy to you without letting outside influences dictate how you feel about yourself. I want you guys to be encouraged, be of good faith and good strength. Go out and see yourself, and most importantly, come back and see me. Thank you. You can find me Saturdays at 4 p.m. on the We Empower Network and on all of my social media platforms. I am your host, Tina Wynn, and I'll have with me my ego. Thank you. See, that's another big one. A lot of us, we don't show up because we already done fixated member mindsets. We already done made the choice to fix our mindset on the fact, oh, nobody's going to be there. And oh, we're already telling ourselves a negative setup. How do you know what the result is going to be if you never present or show up to get a result? You're not even there. There's so many situations that Quita was involved in, but she wasn't even there. I showed up, but I was not present. So we have to ask ourselves, when we show up for people, are we present or are we just there? And if we are there, what are we there for? Are we there to provide emotional relief and support? Are we there to provide some type of spiritual encouragement and uplifting? Or are we just showing up to say, oh, to say we came? Because you have people that will come into these spirits. They'll come around, but they're not coming around to add to you. If you're not adding value to me, you are taken away from me. And I am not in a season of loss. I am in a season of gain. We have to start showing up and putting ourselves in a season of gain. What is it that you're looking to gain when you show up for people? What are you looking to accomplish out of your show up? Or are you just showing up? Because if you're just showing up without a purpose, without a gain, without obtaining something from it, then you're not present. You're not present. I don't want people in my life that's going to just come and be there. But if I need you, you'll show up to drink. You'll show up to turn up. Like I said, when Quita was out here in these streets, oh, I could get people to show up, boy. But what are they showing up for? Are they showing up because they're present for me, or are they showing up for whatever else is going on? Are they there for themselves is the first question. See, because we present people with all of these things that we not even applying to self. We want people to be there for us, but are we there for ourselves? Because I could show up for you all day, but if you're not present for the show up, then what was the purpose? What was the purpose? We have to learn, guys, how to be purposeful in our show ups. Make your show up mean something. When you go to be there for someone, be there, be present. Don't just have your body there, but have all of you there. We have to get into a mindset of being all in. And some of us don't show up because we don't know how to be all in. We want to be half in, half out. We only showing up for people when it's convenient or beneficial to us. If there's no convenient there, or if it's not been, that's not part of being a servant for God. Part of being a servant for God is showing up anyhow, showing up when I don't want to, showing up when, when it's not all the way for me. Because we always think we have to get something out of our show up, when you already got something out of the show up when you showed up. You already got something out of it. You're there. To be there and to fully be there, to be there in the spirit, to be there in the mind, to be there in emotion, to be there connected, you already got everything that you were supposed to get out of the show up. We have to start learning how to be present and stop just showing up. Because there's some things that starts to show up in your life when you're just present and you're not connected. See, when Quita used to just show up over here and show up over there, things showed up in my life. Addiction showed up. Emotion showed up, feelings showed up, because I didn't see myself. I was not connected. I was not present. I was just showing up. And as I just showed up and I wasn't present, everything started presenting itself and showing up. Everything that I did not want. We have to start seeing other people. We have to start seeing ourselves. We have to start showing up for ourselves, and we have to start showing up for other people. That's the only way we're going to make it through life. Why do you think socialization is put on our hierarchy of needs? If we were created to be here by ourselves, we wouldn't even be here, because there would have never been an Eve. If God didn't show up first for her, see, because he showed up for us first. Let's be clear. God showed up for us first. So why aren't we showing up for him back? And every time that we show up for someone else, but we're not present in the show up, we're not showing up for God. We're not showing up for God. You got to be present in your show up. Otherwise, it's pointless. So I have a quick little testimony. I traveled to, Atlanta to do the anthology release with the other woman of I Am a Woman Empowered and the Audacity to Be Empowered anthology. And it was about me showing up for God. I didn't show up expecting anyone to be there for me, because I was showing up to be there for myself. I was showing up for all the things that I was expecting from God. And when I tell you guys that God showed up and showed out, because he presented me with every single thing that I showed up for, because I was present in my show up. We have to be present in our show ups. I was emotionally there. I was spiritually there. I was physically there. I was mentally there. I showed up. I was present. See, we can't just show up and then not be present. So that is my task. That is my goal. That is my obstacle for you guys for this week. And I know that this episode was a little, off my normal tangent. And that's because this was part of a testimony that I briefly just wanted to touch in on showing up with you guys. Because showing up is very critical and it's very important. I got more out of showing up for this person than the person got out of me being there to show up for them. It made me feel good mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, because I was able to help someone see themselves. And that's my whole life. That's my dedication. That's my show. That's my show up. And that's my give back to God. So as I showed up for her, things showed up for me. Things started presenting themselves for me, but it was, God gets all the glory. He gets all the glory because he showed up for me and made me able to see everything it is that I was showing up for. He made her see herself. I got to see myself, and we got to see the glory and the goodness of God together. And that's all I was showing up for. I was showing up to tell her how good God was, to show her how good God is. And in my show up, he showed, glory be to God, the blood. He showed back up for me. He showed back up for me and he gave her back to me. And then he topped it off and showed up for the both of us. See, because when you can show up for someone and they could show up for you back and y'all could pray together, I don't have to ask if you present. I don't have to worry about the value of you being there because we're praying together. I know what's in your heart. I know what's in your mind. I know what's going on. We were together in that moment because we showed up. Y'all have to start seeing yourselves, seeing other people, showing up for yourself, showing up for other people, and most importantly, showing up for Christ, because he's the reason we're here anyway. Some of us may not believe, some of us may not have the same faith, we may not have, but are we even showing up to find out? You don't believe why? Have you even showed up to know why you don't believe? Have you showed up enough to know why things are not aligned or going correctly in your life? Because we sit in church, but are we present? We read our Bibles, but are we connected? When you read your scriptures and you read your verses, do you show up in the verses? Because I do, Tina do, Quita do. Quita show up in half of them verses. Tina shows up in all of them because I'm present. I'm there for me. I'm there for a purpose. I'm there for a cause. I'm not just reading the Bible just to say, oh, okay, I read it. I'm not just showing up to church just to be seen. I'm not showing up in my groups just to say, oh, okay, I was here. Just for the views, just for the likes, just for the comments. I'm not showing up for that. I'm showing up because I'm looking to gain. I want to gain something up out of that. And what I'm looking to gain is Christ. And the only way Christ is going to show up in your lives is for y'all to show up in him. We have to start showing up, people. Don't just be present. So my goal for you guys for the week is to show up. That's the task. Show up. Show up for you. Show up for someone else. Go see you. Go see someone else. And most importantly, come back and see me. Thank you guys for joining me.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner at Empower Mornings. Join me every Monday at noon to work out with Regina on Wynn Network.
Hi guys, it's Tina Wynn again. And before we completely ended this episode about showing up, I wanted to show up to touch on the importance of praying with others. Yes, it's okay to pray by yourself, and it's okay. You're supposed to pray by yourself because we're supposed to be praying all day. That is the purpose. You're praying to gain something. Remember, we're in a season of gain. But there is something important about showing up to pray with others, and that's the importance of being involved in a church and us coming together as the body of Christ. Because when two people and two spirits are joined, Christ shows up. He shows up. And I know for self, the whole purpose of praying is for God to show up. You know, there's a little saying that goes, a family that prays. And why do you think they make reference to it being so important to pray together as a family? See, a lot of us are connected to these families, but we're not present. The family may all be praying, but if we're not praying together, we're all praying for separate things. And that's why it's important sometimes to pray as a family and to pray together with the people in your life that you hold near and dear to you and the people that you value. Because when we are praying together as a unit, there's not to say there's not going to be problems or situations are not going to arise, but we're better able to handle them and we're more equipped to handle them because we are all in sync with our prayers. If we are praying together, that means we're praying for the same things. As I'm praying, you're sitting next to me praying with me. You don't have to worry about what's on my heart or what's on my mind or what's in my thoughts if you are fully present for your prayers. See, because are we just praying or are we present in our prayers? That's another question that we have to ask ourselves. We have to learn how to start being present for the things that we are showing up for, asking for, praying for, the things that we are committing to, the things that we are putting forth out of our mouth. We cannot just be out here having our physical flesh show up all over the place with the absence of spirit and the absence of mind and body and soul connected in with that. Again, the flesh cannot operate without the spirit cannot operate without the flesh. So what is at the seat of your soul? If your soul is the character of your spirit. These are all the things that we have to ask ourselves when we show up. When I show up, how am I showing up? And what am I showing up for? Am I present? Is my soul connected? Is my spirit connected? Is the person getting what they need from my show up? And am I getting what I need from showing up? And when we show up for Christ and we pray together as a family, that's what we obtain, because you're present, I'm present, and together spirit is moving, and he's moving in sync with our show up. So I just want you guys to be encouraged. It says, let God lead you. All of this is in the Bible. All of this, God will lead you and he will comfort you and he will direct your paths and fill you with joy. It's in his presence that you will find joy. So if you're not in his presence and you're not showing up to find this joy, then what are we really in search of? And this is why there's a lot of unhappy and tormented souls out here, because we're in a search of false presences. If we're not in a search of the presence of God and we're not in search of the joy of God, then what are we showing up for? So I want you guys to continue to ask yourself that, because remember, we take us everywhere we go. So when you take you here and you take you there, is your body just there, or are you there? Are you there? Are you fully showing up? Are you present? And is there a purpose? Are you gaining from your show up? Because if you're not gaining, you're losing, and you're not present, and you're just there. So again, you guys continue to show up to see me. I will continue to show up to see y'all, because that is part of seeing myself. That is my consistency. That is the way I remain faithful to my faith. The way I continue to see God so that he could continue to see me is by showing up for him so that he shows up for me. And it's not a hard task. So you guys continue to show up, continue to come see me, continue to see yourselves, and continue to see the glory and the goodness of the Lord. Until next time, I am your host, Tina Wynn. Come back and join me again. Thank you.